Good morning and welcome. I'm Kate and I'm the Membership and Learning Director here at the CCMA, and welcome to a very special online seminar where we're going to be discussing, which is something that we are asked on a very regular basis from our community, is what makes a great leader in the modern contact centre environment. As always, we like our sessions to be very interactive, so please do post your comments and questions into the chat and the Q&A. I will try and pick them up throughout the session. And try and get to them. Any that we don't manage to get to, then we will follow up with you post today's session. But this year we launched Futures, which is a leadership program designed to build and develop skills for leaders who are new or experienced in their role. We often hear of new leaders being promoted after doing a previous role really well and then progressing into a leadership role, but often not given the training to support the transition. So how we've devised this program is really help to set those leaders up for success. And whether you work in customer service, sales, complaints, or any back office function, as long as you lead people, then the program will enhance those leadership skills. Across the CCMA, we've been around in supporting the community for 30 years, supporting contact centre leaders, and it's something we're ultimately so proud of. And this is the reason why that contact centre leaders come to us to support with their L&D needs for our friendly, knowledgeable and supportive approach. And it's something that we continue to always strive to support the community moving forward. The CCMA Academy courses are delivered by experienced and professional trainers in their field who are aligned to the CCMA experience. We also get asked how the role has changed as a leader over the years. And how we are seeing that and what we're hearing from across the community is that with technology enhancements, we're seeing that is making the role sometimes a little bit more difficult when you're trying to manage those individuals from a hybrid or remote working environment. However, you've got so many different tasks that a team leader is actually carrying out on a day-to-day basis that trying to keep that breadth of the skills that are required can sometimes be a challenge. So it's ever evolving, but however, our leaders continue to be like sponges and really want to do a really good job and support their people. And these are our leaders of the future, right? So here at the CCMA, we pride ourselves on delivering all our courses by experienced professional trainers in their field and who are aligned to that experience. So I've invited our trainer who delivers this programme to share more insight to the modules and how this enhances skills for new and experienced leaders. Jen is a highly experienced coach and facilitator who's worked with the CCMA for many years across different programmes. Having gained most of her experience over the years leading teams in fast-paced organisations, Jen blends strong commerciality and outstanding customer focus with a revolutionary way of thinking. With her coaching and a supportive nature, our members always love to get Jen as one of the trainers because she really does help to support the growth of leaders of the future. So Jen, with that, please can you join me on screen and welcome. Hello.
Hi, Kate. Thank you very much for that.
I know, well, I thought, I've got to give a good overview, but really help to bring it to life. So I thought, keep you off screen with that because I know you might probably blush.
Thank you.
Fantastic. So Jen, you were obviously part of this programme and creating that alongside us and very much into that detail. And I really want us to delve into the detail of the programme a little bit further, if I may. So
Sure.
please share an overview of what is Futures? What does that programme look and feel like?
Brilliant. Okay, thanks, Kate. Yes. I think to start off with, it's worth saying that there are several options for Futures. So we have our cohorts, but we also have in-house delivery. So I think that's worth mentioning. There are 6 modules to the programme, and I'm happy to go into a little bit more detail as to what we cover in each of those modules and some of the skills and competencies that their learners will take away. Also, in between the modules, we have touch point coaching sessions with myself. So after the second module, we have some coaching, and then further down the line. And these are phenomenal sessions to help the individuals to start to really discuss some of the things that they've learned and then put into practice. What are they learning about themselves? We also have embedding activities in between. So they have some work to do before they attend, and then afterwards. So some real usable embedding activities to help them to put into practice. Because as we know, if we think about learning and the way that we learn, it's quite a small percentage that we take from the actual session. So it's really important to put things into place in between the sessions. The programme is also accredited, and that accreditation is recognised by the CCMA CEO. That's a mouthful to say.
You see this for that one.
I think I've covered everything there.
You have.
Fab.
Tell us a bit more about the modules, with an overview of what's covered and what skills are gained throughout that journey.
Yeah, sure. So we start off with the first module is called Brand Me. And what we cover there is we go into emotional intelligence, the 4 strands of emotional intelligence, and we start to understand, well, why would that be important to a leader? Why do I need to understand and have any self-awareness? And importantly, understanding our triggers, very often referred to as hot buttons in emotional intelligence. In that session, we also cover imposter syndrome. I found in my experience, not only from managing people, but also for many years as facilitating, imposter syndrome is quite a big deal and often not spoken about. So we look at imposter syndrome and how that manifests, and then also some ways to overcome that imposter syndrome. And that, I think it's also worth mentioning that imposter syndrome is very often present with individuals, not solely with them, but with individuals that have been promoted within their peer group. So, and we come across a lot of people that then struggle a little bit to manage their peers. We also look in that module at developing and growing resilience. So I like to call that mental toughness, which is a way of reducing stress. And we look at what's within the circle of control, from good old Stephen Covey, and what they're taking away from that is it really helps them to focus on where should I be putting my energy and my effort, because it can be quite overwhelming when you've got so much to do. We also look at personal effectiveness and self-awareness. So we look at different communication styles, and very importantly, how others experience you. Which can be sometimes a real eye-opener. And then we also look, from memory now, personal branding. So we look at a model known as the 5 Ps of personal branding. So basically, how do we want people to experience us? What do we want people to think about us? And I think that other than the skills that I've just mentioned there, individuals get a huge, not only self-awareness, but also confidence in their own ability from this first module. And also with the emotional intelligence, how to remain calm and therefore deal with conflict more effectively. Because very often when we don't have those skills, we shy away from handling not only conflict, but just difficult conversations. Okay, so then we move on to coaching with confidence, which is a 2-day session. And here we look at, so how does coaching differ from any other approach that a leader might take? And for me, that's phenomenal that leaders understand that, yes, there are many approaches, but you have to be extremely flexible. I like to think of 1 minute we have to have a coaching hat on, the next minute we're managing performance, then we're having a welfare conversation and so on. But recognizing which one you're doing gives you that confidence. We also look at why would we coach? Why don't we just tell people what to do? So why do we coach, and what are the benefits? And we look at the not only the longevity of the people that we're coaching in terms of their role, but also their skill and the attitude that they bring to their role. We also delve into the skills that you need to be a great coach and the beliefs that you hold. And Kate, as you know, I'm fascinated by neuroscience and how the brain works and how the mind works. So we delve into Tim Galway's Inner Game. So that a fantastic book that he wrote about, changing your mindset. We also look at the link to engagement. So we talk about engagement in another session, but in this one we're looking at, well, what is the benefit to coaching? We look at feedback models. We look at coaching models dependent on the level of experience in the room. I love to be able to flex and adapt to whoever's there at the time. We look at great questioning skills. As humans, we're creatures of habit, and so we tend to ask the same questions. So we broaden our horizons in terms of different levels of questions, and obviously listening skills. And there is a huge amount of practice to be able in real time to put the coaching skills into practice and get some great feedback from peers. So these 2 days really help you to recognize potential in others and then be able to draw that potential out, as I say, through questioning and listening. We don't listen very often, do we? And again, it helps to...
Forgotten.
Yes.
That's the thing that's forgotten, isn't it? So I think because we've got that section within that module, it's quite impactful.
Yes. Yeah. So stop me if I'm giving too much detail,
No,
Kate. But...
You keep going. This is wonderful. I think you're taking
Okay.
me on a journey. There's a question that's come in from the panelists about effective time management, which actually it leads quite nicely on to what you're going to go into next.
It is. Yeah, fantastic. Well, thank you, whoever asked the question. So yes, our next module is planning like a pro. And in this module, we really delve into planning, short-term planning, long-term planning, but not just planning. Where does the planning come from? How do we determine what do we do? How do we prioritize? How do we start to understand what is important? How do we then align our priorities or indeed our activities with our vision for our team, align that with the organisation's vision? So we look at Covey's theory of big rocks and Eisenhower's urgent and important matrix. And lots of other systems and tools that can help you to become more organised and manage your time. Also, we delve a little bit into mindset about time. I'm a great believer that, time is time. We only have the same amount of time, but it's really about your approach to time and how you use time. So we delve into that. We look at what are our time thieves. So who and what are those things and people that are stealing our time, and how do we look to minimize that? And that leads us really nicely on to setting boundaries. What I find from my experience is very often, and particularly with new people who are new into management, they feel they have to say yes to everything. Sometimes that's a need to prove themselves. Sometimes that's just who they are. So we look at, if we're going to prioritize, then the two go hand in hand. We've got to set boundaries and saying no. And that's not easy. So we look at some techniques to help us to say no effectively and diplomatically, of course.
It's really powerful though, isn't it? Because like you say, if you're a new manager, you quite often want to please and think that I have to say yes every time. And it's actually understanding your workload and actually managing those barriers and those boundaries. It's really powerful. And the feedback on that session has been fantastic.
Great. Fantastic. One other thing that we look at in that session as well is procrastination. What is procrastination? Why do we do it? Some people do it for one reason, some do it for another. And then we look at some very useful tips to help to overcome our procrastination. Procrastination is a real source of information for us. And when I say that, I see people look at me and go, well, what's she talking about? But if you question your procrastination, you find out it's usually a lack of confidence or a lack of whatever it might be. I'm going off track now. Sorry, Kate. So, another great skill that I think comes out of that session is the benefit of reflection time, because people often think, I mean, it's almost counterintuitive, isn't it, to be reflecting, and great leaders need to take that time to reflect on how effective they've been with their time. Also, I think another great skill that comes out of that session is how do you determine what is a priority? And interestingly, how do you align that priority with your goals? Because very often everybody else's priority can become our priority.
Yeah.
And setting boundaries is the other thing that comes out of that session. Okay, moving on then, our next session, our next module is leading for high performance. So this is all about performance management. We delve into what is it. What I found is that very often new leaders feel that performance management sits outside their role. It's like a thing over here that they have to do. And so we talk about how do we integrate it? It's a cyclical process. How do we integrate it into what we do, into the conversations that we have and the feedback that we're giving? We very much link this one to the individual's organisational values and vision and the purpose. And that's really important to help leaders see that, but also for them to help their team to see where they fit in, how it all fits together, I suppose, is the best way. We look also at our relationships with individuals in our team and how this can impact our ability to manage their performance. I talk about COVID's emotional bank account, and we do a great activity around, what is that level of emotional bank account that we have with each person, and how does that impact us? We look again at performance management's linked to engagement, and we've got some great research into how it can massively improve engagement. We look at how do we measure performance. We look also at how do we assess the capability of people in our team, but equally their motivation as well. So very often in managing performance with purely thinking about performance, it's really important to think about mindset as well, and so that obviously affects individuals. We talk about setting really clear objectives. We also talk about how do we make one-to-ones inspiring. If I work for you and I'm having a one-to-one every 4 weeks, is it the same old, while still maintaining those boundaries? We don't go completely random, but how do we make them inspiring to start to motivate and uplift people? I like to link it to Dan Pink's theory of intrinsic motivation, and we look at how do we bring more of that into our conversations. Right, draw breath. We also look at dealing with underperformance, how and when and what should we do. We look at delegation. We look at the different levels of delegation, and how that very much links into the relationship that we have with people, but the impact it can have on the rest of the team, and also feedback models, and sharing our intention behind giving the feedback. So again, the skills come from that are very much about, well, that feeling of confidence that I now know what I should be doing, while still having that freedom to be able to apply it, but also understanding that any leader needs to be adaptable to the situation. Also gives confidence to tackle issues, to tackle underperformance when needed, and not leave it until it just becomes a real issue. It also helps them to create an environment where individuals feel motivated to want to do better. and also they learn delegation skills.
Yeah, as well as looking after those steady eddies as well and the overperform.
Yes, yes. Yeah, we look at those three different categories of, the underperformers that take up a lot of your time, to the steady eddies that are the actual foundation of your team, and how we very often forget to thank them. And then also the high performers. People so often say to me, I don't know what to do to motivate the high performers.
Really tricky. It is
Yeah,
really tricky. It's understanding your people and how to tap into them and having that relationship with them to bring the best out of them.
yeah,
Where the leader for high performance and the coach for confidence really do start to evolve.
yeah,
When you think about those different categories, don't they?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, then we move on to having great conversations, where we look at delivering difficult messages. So those conversations that we'll often shy away from. We look at different communication styles here, because very often there can be that mismatch between, if I'm having a conversation with somebody who has a very different opposite preference to me, we look at, as a leader, we need to be able to adapt our style. We look at what personal barriers there might be for individuals to having those difficult conversations and how we can start to overcome those. We also look at dealing with emotions, not your own as well as an individual. I like to delve into Susan Scott's theory at this point of fierce conversations. And Susan has 7 principles, which I won't go into now, but there's some really useful ideas there that can help you to get better at having those conversations. We also focus quite a bit on giving behavioural feedback. I very often find that leaders are great at giving what I would call performance feedback. So very tangible. So I've got all my information, all my data to support it. But when it comes to people that are behaving against the values, and that behavioural feedback may be disrupting the team, whatever it might be. So we focus on how do we do that, and how do we make sure that that feedback lands. And hand in hand with that, we look at Dr. Eric Berne's theory of transactional analysis. So that's that theory of communication, about how we interact in relationships, which is phenomenal. And then we also practice and get feedback, real-time feedback, as to how to have those conversations. So again, it's confidence building. It also, I believe, it also helps leaders to become more influential. If you can have those great conversations and you start to understand how your communication style impacts others, how can you start to, I call it, enter their map of the world to understand what's going on for them, you can become more influential. It's also great for networking skills as well. So starting to, widen your network of people.
Build that confidence, isn't it? The
Yes.
overall confidence of,
Yeah.
isn't it, to be able to just give you that that confidence in your own ability.
Yeah, absolutely. And then last but not least, we have a module, engaging with your people. And this is all about employee engagement. What is it and why should we care? We've got too much to do as leaders. Why should I be interested in understanding how? Sorry, that's a massive generalization. But yeah, we talk about what is it and why should we care? We look at the theory of who might be sinking the boat, where we're having to spend our time, and what motivates individuals. Again, we delve a bit deeper into communication preferences. We also use some profiling here to help increase self-awareness, to help individuals to really delve into to understand themselves in more depth. We also look at measures of engagement. So how are we measuring it? Do we just wait for a survey every 12 months? No, we look at measures. We look at those conversations that we can have to help us to understand how engaged individuals are. And we also look at what's the role that we play as a leader. Latest CIPD research tells us that individuals can be hugely engaged with the organisation but disengaged from their manager, and vice versa So we look at, well, what role do we play? And we also explore some common causes of workplace demotivation or disengagement. And then we look at building relationships and also that consistency of approach, because we will very often build relationships with the individuals that we get on with or that cause us the least amount of issue, if you like. So yeah, we look at that consistency, because that can also have a demotivating effect on other individuals in the team. People always notice. So skills from this session: flexibility of approach, confidence, and understanding yourself, being able to adapt.
Wonderful. Thanks, Jen.
I think that's
it gives a really good overview, and I think it's so exciting to hear it all come together. One of the questions that we've got in the Q&A is there any content covered on DE&I and how to ensure accessibility in a team as well as well-being at work? So whoever's asked this question, it's not a specific session on DEI. However, Jen, do you want to talk about how we bring that into the session, into the programme?
Yeah, we do talk about it, but as you're right, it's not a specific. But we talk about it when we're talking about the conversations that we're having with people, the relationships. How do we start to understand individuals from their point of view? Yeah,
wonderful. I think that the beauty of this program is the fact that it is flexible based on the fact that whether you are new or existing. And maybe you've been doing the role for quite some time, but it really does help to invigorate some of those skills and enhance those skills, because it is that it's devised and designed in such a way to bring out the best of those individuals and tailored around your level of experience and your organisation to pull those scenarios to life. So we've got a question on the modules, online or classroom based. They are classroom based. Research shows that we want people to be engaged in the programme. And another question goes, how long are the modules? I heard the coaching is 2 days, but how about the others? The other modules are 1 day, 1 day each. Coach with Confidence is a 2-day course. What is worth making sure that everybody's aware who is listening is that these courses are not just you attend the course and then away you go. What Jen was explaining was that with the touch point sessions and the embedding activities, it really helps to cement that learning. So there will be post-session activities for the leaders to come back into the working environment to have to then to bring their learning into that real life environment. Then the touch point sessions are to bring back to say, actually, Jen, that's not working for me. How can I tailor that? Or this is a scenario that I've got. To have that independent coaching and support to enable that individual to embed and use their learning to enhance further. So it is an classroom environment, but ongoing learning in between also.
Sure. And the beginning of each session is always a follow-up from the previous session, whether that takes half an hour or an hour. That's really important for me to understand, help individuals understand that they're just not in isolation, that when we come back the next time, we're going to talk about, okay, what did you try? What did you learn from that? What did you learn about yourself? What's still outstanding that you're going to go away and put into your plan?
Exactly. And the recent cohort that went through this, the in-house group that went through this was Valda Energy, and they use a lot of practical examples as part of that coaching, didn't they? And they got so much out of it with their different levels of experience. They found that they could really have some real usable tools and techniques to be able to take into that working environment, which was great feedback to have. The program is certified by CCMA, as I mentioned about we have been supporting the industry for 30 years. So we get asked, can you help us with this scenario? So we do believe that we are the best knowledgeable source to be able to support that, because we hear from it all day, every day, and we're always listening to our community. But Jen, thank you so much for helping to bring that to life. I think that it really does help to, it's great as, talking about this, and I can talk
Yeah.
about it really passionately in our sessions, but it's really great to hear from the trainer that delivers this program with the and help to really bring that to life and show people are getting as part of that program. So I really do appreciate you taking your time out of the classroom today and
That's okay.
be on screen. So really appreciate that. So how to get involved? So we have, as Jen mentioned at the start of the sessions, cohorts. So cohorts are open to all organisations. So there'll be a mixture of organisations, leaders from different organisations which will attend those. The first cohort will start on the 21st of November, and that will be starting in Manchester. The second cohort will start in London, and that will be on the 4th of February. The ones in Manchester will be all Manchester. Each of the 6 modules will be delivered in Manchester, and the second one in London, their 6 modules will all be delivered in London from February. That's a great opportunity if you have a small leadership team, or whether you maybe have a couple of your leaders that you want to blend with other organisations because you want to learn best practice. Because it's great to say, well, actually, we're from financial services and we're from retail or we're from insurance. It's great to hear from different industries and that kind of that best practice and sharing their learning and alongst that journey and helping your leaders to really to network outside of their organisation, because that can be quite daunting as a leader also. We've also got the in-house programme. We mentioned Valda before that have been through this programme. So the in-house programme is also designed in a way that we can deliver this to your leaders and we will take them through that programme as a leadership team. So we will come on site to your site or wherever you want us to deliver that to, and we will deliver each of those modules specifically for your organisation, for your leaders. And you're seeing at this year's conference, the Belder Energy leaders were certified for completing and passing their futures leadership program. So proud of that group, and hearing how they've taken their learning forward has been so rewarding from ourselves who've been on that journey with them. But that's it for today. For any information or you want to sign your leaders up onto the futures journey, get in touch with us at info@ccma.org.uk, and I look forward to seeing you all very, very soon. Thank you. Thanks, Jen.